Well, thank you guys so much for coming, everyone. I really do appreciate it. And hello, everyone online. Welcome to my talk, which is Wacky Mushrooms, Even Wackier Cultivation by me. So, who am I? My name is Leo Mellon. I'm a senior computer information systems major, and I have two minors in entrepreneurship and biology. I also am an undergraduate researcher under Dr. Connor at Dr. Natalie Christian's lab, and I work in a fungal lab, ironically. And I do research with endophytes, which are the variety of fungi that live inside of plants. And I kind of like mushrooms, given that I'm giving this talk. But
One would hope.
yeah, but let's dive into the world of fungi. So when you think about it, typically what comes to your mind is a mushroom. And that's not inherently wrong, but what would be more accurate is actually the mycelium, which is like this root system, which is more akin to a tree, and the mushroom is an apple to the tree. But it's even bigger than that. Like if you think about it, fungi are so massive in even on a news perspective. Like recently in this year, there was a huge discovery finding this very elusive fungi that it has similar compounds found in LSD. Even the creator of LSD spent decades trying to find it in morning glories, which have these like certain varieties, especially like in Mexico and Latin America, were producing these like more psychoactive effects. And he was chasing it for years and he couldn't find it. And only recently, like this February, was it actually discovered. There's also in China, there's some research going on about these boletes that are cause in 95% of hallucination cases, making you see little people, which is also incredibly bizarre, and we don't really understand how it works yet. Also, mushroom leather. People are growing these massive vertical farms that have 7 days making these synthetic leathers, which is an incredible leather alternatives and is hugely innovative.
Wow.
Oh, and then by the way, there's the honey mushroom, which is the largest organism on Earth, spanning around 3,000 acres. It's in the middle of a forest in Oregon. That's bizarre. And then, oh my Lord, they're also building structures out of mushrooms, doing these huge block projects in the next 5 years could lead to huge innovations in sustainable construction. And then, oh my God, in China, they discovered ways of cultivating morels, which are a mycorrhizal mushroom, which means they have a relationship with plants to be able to grow properly. So this is also crazy. There's too much. There's just way too much. There's way too much information. So let's dial it back. And the point of this talk isn't to blow your head off, it make you think that mushrooms are super scary and are going to be taking your shoes when you sleep. It is actually to make you interested and give an introduction to the world of fungi, and more specifically about mushrooms. So I'm going to be speaking about my time at Fungi for the People. They had this course that I went to in the fall of 2024. This was southwest of Eugene, Oregon, in the middle of absolute nowhere at this some dude's farm.
Sure.
And it was a absolutely amazing experience. I got to work with Jay Schindler and Charlie Aller. These guys are kind of like yin and yang, ironically. So Charlie Aller is like, think of like Bigfoot almost. This guy is just like suddenly lying around, an absolute bog wizard. And he was more, ready, fire, aim. He made so many mistakes. He tried everything. He used pressure cookers at max PSI and like nearly blew his house up. He's done everything wrong to learn what is right. And so he is a real big expert on foraging and actually cultivating unique and very difficult cultures from the wild, and is super good at log cultivation. Now, Jay Schindler, this man's a wizard. All right. He is not human. He is probably a mushroom that has consumed flesh and has become this weird entity. This man is a genius. Like, I swear, like, you think of like Paul Stamets and stuff like that. This man is like similar to that, but like to mycologist. Like, he is so technically smart. All of his technical skills are incredible. And he's just like, I hopefully didn't annoy him too much with pestering him with questions, and it was super rewarding. So I spent a week in Oregon I was working 12 to 14 hours a day, just taking notes and learning and cultivating, trying different stuff. And I've learned so much. So, and at the end of it, you get this book. I hope you guys can see it. It's their logo, Fungi for the People.
Cool.
If you can find this online, let me know. I can't. This is like a Bible of information. I have nearly half of this entire notebook full of just like detailed notes and stuff like that of this entire week experience. I can't condense it all into 1 hour long talk. So this is just going to be just an introduction so that you will, by the end of this talk, you will have the knowledge to attempt to grow mushrooms and the courage to actually do it. Okay, so let's get into it. So terminology, this is for anyone who is not fully familiar with mycology and stuff like that and growing mushrooms, that's totally fine. We're just going to be going over some of these terms. So mycelium is the actual fungus, not the fruiting body, which is the mushroom. So the mushroom is an apple and the mycelium is a tree. So the actual fungus is the mycelium. And people will commonly refer to it as roots, just because that's kind of what it looks like, but that's not exactly what it is. Unfortunately, for those online, you won't be able to see this. This is a cultured plate on agar. This is reishi. This is the Asian variety of reishi and not hemlock reishi, which is native to the United States. You can take a look at it. So this is mycelium. It are these like very fine strands. They're interconnected, and it's super cool. So spores are the sexual gametes produced by mushroom fruiting bodies. This is basically seeds. It's how they make more and multiply. That's all you really need to know about that. Substrate is whatever biomass you're using for growing mushrooms. This can really be almost anything biodegradable. Mushrooms are incredibly hardy. They can grow on a whole load of substrates, which we will be getting into. Grain, it's grains. So corn, wheat, rye, millet, oats, rice, etc. Grain is typically used to be making spawn, which is the eggs or seeds of the mushroom, which is basically you're giving your little tiny baby a protein bar and say, good luck, best of luck growing. Now, colonization is when fungi is taking over the substrate or spawn and establishing itself. So it's just like eating everything and getting very acclimated in its home. Contamination, the bad stuff. Well, it's not necessarily bad. It's just like having an unwanted roommate just randomly show up and steal your food. It's basically anything bioactive that interferes with the growth of the fungus that you are trying to grow. And culture is what that is. The agar plate that I was passing around, a culture is an isolated fungus that you want. So it's the one that you're trying to be safekeeping and storing for further use. People make libraries of cultures so that they could then use it for more cultivation. So we are going to be covering substrates, sterilization and pasteurization, outdoor cultivation, small scale indoor cultivation, and how to subculture or collect samples from the wild. I'll be leaving roughly like 20 minutes for questions at the end of this. If you ask questions now, I'm too ADHD and I'll absolutely get sidetracked. So if you can hold on, I would really appreciate it. Okay, so substrates, you can kind of grow pretty much anything. It is kind of ridiculous. You can grow on zero straw, hardwood, logs, and chips, sawdust. Avoid conifers. Conifers typically have a lot of resin, which is kind of makes it a difficult material for fungi to grow through. And also different kinds of mushrooms really have a preference about what they're eating. Hi, welcome everyone who's joined. And they really have a preference of what they're eating. You can do compost manure mix. So there's a lot of different techniques of making these like hot compost piles and using it for cultivating manure liking different kinds of mushrooms. You can do paper and cardboard, grass, corn cobs, books, really anything, maybe a human, maybe if you're really cool. But the main thing is that the fungi need water, right? They need around a 55 to 60% relative amount of water that's actually in it. So if you're working with sawdust, a good way of gauging it is by feel. So if you've worked with compost, you kind of have an idea of like that moisture level in it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a similar thing. You don't want it just like gushing water, but you want to feel that dampness. That's a good tell for most substrates of just like getting this general feel. Like you can measure it, but it's going to save you a lot more time if you just get more accustomed with actually like feeling how substrate feels. So sterilization versus pasteurization. Sterile, kill absolutely everything. Scorched earth, nothing lives. Okay, that's what that is. And then pasteurization is kill most things. Now, in more detail, sterilization is basically nuking a microclimate, which makes it less nutritious, but it also means that absolutely zero competitors are on a substrate. But that also means that it's basically the Hunger Games for any microbes that manage to like contaminate your thing. So it's a free game for everyone. So if you're going to be working with sterile stuff, you need to be working in a more sterile, less contaminated prone environment, which we will be getting into. Now, pasteurization kills most things. This is typically what you'll be doing for substrates, because especially like for outdoor cultivation or for most growing, pasteurization gets the done unless you're working with more finicky and more difficult kinds of mushrooms. So like lion's mane sometimes has difficulty with pasteurized substrates. So being able to just like know the species that you're working with is important. But pasteurization, for the most part, works. So now we're going to be talking about the vectors of contamination. So the cultivator, that's you. You guys are gross, all right? You guys are icky and disgusting. So managing good hygiene, having fresh clothes, a mouth mask, or clean hands is always appropriate, especially if you're going to be working with these, especially in a more sterile environment. For outdoor stuff, you can have dirt on it. It's okay. Things can happen. But the air, huge factor. It's absolutely crazy. There's so much gross things here. It's disgusting if you think about it too hard. And there's many different ways you can solve this problem. And again, this is more going to be relating to when you're working with spawn, which is the eggs of the fungus. So the media, the stuff you're growing it on, if it has contaminants, you're screwed, man. Like that's kind of bad. So make sure to handle properly, and working time effective, depending on your sterilization method, is important, right? If you are boiling stuff and then you take it out and you're like, I'm going to leave it for a week, it'll be fine. No, it isn't. It has new roommates in there. The tools, the stuff you are using, make sure to clean between uses. Pretty good methods there. The inoculum, which is the live tissue is being transferred. So if you have that plate there and that's contaminated and then you put it on sterile stuff, guess what? You spread it over. And then mobile contamination units. So ants, flies, mice, children. Oh, they're boring. They're just horrible. These are all different things that can also lead to contaminants. And there's different ways you can learn and how to deal with them. Now, continuing on, we're going to be talking about pasteurization. So we're going to be covering 3 different methods. These are low-tech methods. I have a plethora of other tech methods that you can do, but these are by far the easiest things you can do. So you have cold water fermentation of straw, hydrated lime bath, hot water bath pasteurization. Okay, so when we're working with cold water with straw, you're going to need either, you can just get a large bucket, a 5-gallon bucket works well with a tightly fitted lid, straw that's chopped to like 4 to 5 inches, and then enough water to fill the bucket. So first you're going to clean the bucket, and then you're going to put the straw in it till it's full. You're going to just run water through it until you have it pretty much to the max, and then you close it. And then roll the bucket around, make sure it's all mixed, and then you're going to leave it in a warm, sunny area for around 7 to 10 days without opening. It is important that the seal is tight, okay? So that it stays warm. If it is wintertime, it may be extended to around 2 weeks. After 3 to 5 days, the bucket will likely release an odor of ammonia, which is an anaerobic organism beginning to take hold. So after 5 to 7 to 10 days, the process will be complete, and then you should just remove the lid. And it should stink. It should smell absolutely awful. If it does not, You did it wrong. So this is the few cases where smelling something absolutely gross is incorrect. You can then take it out and then let it drain for a couple of hours. So you can do this like by putting in a burlap sack, or like you can either do a cotton pillowcase as well to just tie it up so it's easy to transport. And so then once it is fully drained and breathed, you should then inoculate it. So that means you're putting like either grain spawn or sawdust spawn on top of it, and you can then just put it in buckets. We'll be talking about ways you can be using buckets and different kinds of bags to be growing, but this is a pretty effective way. How this works is it's just a fighting arena. So there's so many anaerobic bacteria that are being produced. It's absolutely killing literally everything, but still remaining nutrient dense. And then you just let it drain the excess moisture, and then you can use it. So then hydrated lime bath. This is a method that I quite like. I think it is very effective. Bless you. Um, what it entails is you got a bucket and you got hydrated lime. This is something you can buy online. You can also go to any agricultural store. They'll sell this. Is typically used to raise pH of soil and just kill things. And you want to get low magnesium hydrated lime. It'll say low mag on the container. If you buy this, it's like $30. It will last you 3 lifetimes for the amount that you're using typically. Like it's a lot. And what you're going to be doing is that if you have like a 50-gallon drum or something like that, you're going to be putting 40 gallons of water, and then you're going to be putting like 4 cups of hydrated lime. There's a lot of ratios you can look up online. There's a lot of videos you can look up online. It is very effective. You basically put it in, you mix it. If you're working with this, wear gloves, wear a face mask, because this will irritate your skin, and because the pH is so high, it can cause like some skin flakes as well. Don't drink it, obviously. What you're going to be doing is a similar thing, burlap sack or a pillowcase, put your substrate in it. This can be wood chips, hardwood chips is preferred. You can do straw, there's a plethora of different things you can do. You're going to then put it in the bucket, and you're going to just like leave it there for at least 12 hours. So it's good to do it at night, come in the morning, take it out, let it soak. You can put it on a wire rack. Do not put it on the ground, because then contaminants are literally just going to go onto it, and let it just all the excess water to leave it. And then you can do immediately go into putting into buckets or whatever container that you want. Now, it is important to know that you need to be careful about disposing this, right? Because it basically is kill everything. And so if you pour it on plants, your plants are probably going to die. It's good for weeds. You can use it as a weed pesticide. It's pretty natural. It doesn't have any bad side effects. But what you can do is just leave it out, let it aerate itself so that the hydrated lime starts to break down and it's less of a problem. And then you can just dispose of it so it can air dry on like concrete or stuff like that, and it won't cause any issues. Hot water bath pasteurization. This is tried and true. All right. This is get a big old pot, put it on your stove, fill it with water, and put the substrate in it and boil it. Now, this is a very effective way of doing it. It's a little bit finicky because it's hard to just transfer this over, and you're working with hot water. So boiling water is hard to work with. Now, the main thing about this is that you want it to be at like 180, 190 Fahrenheit. This is just really blasting, boiling hot, and you're going to be putting the substrate in it. And once the internal temperature reaches 160 of the substrate, you can turn it down a little bit and then just let it sit there for an hour. So this is going to kill pretty much everything. And then you take it, put it on a clean surface like a table. You can spray it down with isopropyl alcohol. That'll be fine. Put it on there and then go into the putting into containers and stuff like that. So spawn. This is these different varieties of spawn. To be honest, when you're first starting this, I recommend you just buy it from online. There's a company called North Spore. I'll include it at the bottom of this talk. They are very reputable. They are US located. They make sure that they have very high quality. They are an incredible source of learning on YouTube, and they have great guides. Highly, highly recommend their products. Even right now, they're having a 22% off sale. I'm not sponsored, but they have a 22% off sale of all log-related products. So you can buy sawdust spawn for like $18. Mind you, 5 pounds of sawdust spawn equals 20 to 30 logs. 20 to 30, each log lasts you 6 to 8 years, depending on the strain. So a boatload of mushrooms. So they're very accessible, highly recommend. Okay, so.
Is there no local company that?
Yes, that's a great question. There are local companies that you can buy from. You can find them at certain farmers markets and some local stores. It's forgetting some of the names. I can't remember the companies myself, but yes, you can get them locally. Actually, this variety of this company is Sylvatica. They are an Appalachian company. I believe they do sell spawn bags, so you can get them from there. So grain, plug, sawdust, liquid culture, popsicle sticks? Yes, actually, they do work. So grain spawn, these are really good for indoor growing. Why? Because those birds, birds really like grains, and so do pests and mites and all these other little critters. They absolutely love eating grain. So if you're going to be doing grain cultures, I recommend doing it inside where you have more control. Now, sawdust spawn, the cheapest by far, and honestly, the most versatile. I don't know why more people don't use it. It's less nutritious, so they're going to have a slower growing time, but you can use it for inoculating logs. You can use it for making grow beds. You can put it in buckets. It's great. I think it's wonderful. I highly recommend it as a beginner. Then there are plugs, which are these little wooden dowels. These are great for log inoculation because basically you just hammer it in. Now, the thing is they're a little bit more expensive, but they work. They do exactly what you intended for them to do. Now there's liquid culture. Liquid culture is if you're getting a bit more advanced. What they do is it's like the fastest way of it growing because it's basically alive and are in this liquid space and they're unable to connect. So they're all in these like these single-celled little fungal spores and fungal cells, and they are trying to connect as much as possible because if you could pass that around again, you can see that they want to make a network, and liquid culture is basically not allowing them to make a network. So they're trying to grow, they're trying to grow, they're trying to grow, and they're unable to. So the moment that you put them on a media that they're able to grow, they will grow like crazy. They'll grow super fast, but they're very prone to contaminants because it's literally just existing in fluid, and they store the least well. Sawdust spawn in any of these spawns, refrigerate it if you're not using it because it can last for roughly use it in the first month. They can last for around 2 to 3 months if needed, but with warning. Obstacles, yes, go ahead.
I just wondered if it's possible to harvest your own spawn.
Yes, you can do this. So the way you can do spawn harvesting, I will be going into in the later part of the talk. But yes, popsicle sticks, great, super cheap, work incredibly well. There's a lot of research actually about this being super good. You can even use coffee stirrers. Basically, what you do is you take these sticks, and if you ordered a pack of sawdust spawn or something like that, you're gonna boil this for like 20 minutes. Get it nice and hot, let it sit there for a little while. You can put a little bit of coffee grounds in it, adds extra nutrients. You then take it out, put it in a strainer, let it cool down so it's like your hands literally not burning. And then you put it on a clean sheet, like a bag, ideally a bag, put it in a bag, and then sprinkle the sawdust spawn on top, close it up, make sure there's a little bit of air in it, put it somewhere nice and dark, leave it for like 10 days. And these are really, really good. You can like throw them into outdoor growing. If you're growing in buckets, insert like 3 of them in your substrate and they will grow really well. It's a very cheap way of doing it. You could go to your coffee shop and just take their coffee stirrers and run away. It works super, super well. So pressure cookers, these are bombs. They are bombs. You need to understand they are bombs. So you need to go with caution. They are literally highly pressurized heat bomb. Okay. So if you're working with them, always be careful. You always have to be there and you always have to be attentive. Just don't leave it because they are dangerous. So proceed with caution. They work great. They work very well, not denying that. But they are bombs. So aim for around 15 psi. This is the perfect threshold where basically it's going to sterilize everything, kill all. So you're going to be doing this when you are making spawn because you want zero chance of contaminant. So grains, or you can also do this for popsicle sticks if you want to be more if you have more accessibility to pressure cookers. Some people get away with just full boiling for a long period of time, or making a makeshift one with a pot on the stove and a little bit of a wire rack underneath, and then just sitting some water. Try your best, see what happens, figure it out. But these are some of the ratios of it. So if you have a pint jar of grain, 35 to 40 minutes at 15 psi, and then these are all the other numbers. Let it cool down properly. Let it cool. It should not be leaking. Just you can watch tons of videos to make sure you have proper safety. Please have proper safety. I don't want you guys to blow up. People do get injured with this. I swear there are a lot of house accidents. So even though I'm being goofy, it is true. These are 2 jars. You can use mason jars. They work really well for this. They're a very cheap method. You can use it for grain spawns. You can even use it instead of using those nice Petri dishes. You can just use it. They're great. The only thing is that if you're pressure cookering them, first off, make sure that they're not completely sealed. They will explode. You have to make sure that they're slightly open. And if you're using metal lids, they will start to rust due to the amount of steam and water. So keep that in mind. You can get polypropylene, I forgot the exact name. They're this kind of plastic. They're very heat resistant, and you can use as a substitute. Still air box. This is a way that you can make cultures so that the individual fungus that you want to be growing safely and as effectively as possible. And this is great for when you're trying to do grain spawn. So you want to be doing this in an environment that has not a lot of contaminants. Luckily, if you work in a lab, you have a flow hood, which is $3,000. You can get them for pretty cheap. There are a lot of resellers of just like people are like getting rid of labs, especially right now with the NHS actually being underfunded. It's a really good time to get into this. You can get cool flow hoods for like $500. You can also make flow hoods for $350 to $400. I have a full guide on that. Cannot go into it right now though. But still air box, it is a tub. You cut holes in it that you can stick your arms in comfortably, wear gloves. You can use these like toilet filter. I forgot the exact word. It's like these toilet socket kits. These are really good of inserting rubber gloves into, and you can then be able to work with it. If you have it like this, where you have rubber gloves, don't have an open flame in it because it's going to be making a lot of smoke and problems. If you have something like this, where it's just holes that you're wearing little rubber gloves, but there's still airspace, you can use like an oil lamp, or you can get a heat gun for $30. There's like resale stuff for it. Like that works completely fine. This allows you to work very effectively. Spray it all down with isopropyl, make it so that just let it sit for like 10 minutes, and then you can start working with it. That means the air in there is pretty still, and it will make it a lot easier for you to work. Outdoor growing. This takes practice, but it works. All right. It can last up to 6 to 8 years depending on the species. And there's a lot of cool techniques that you can use to do it. But the main thing is this. The best time to really do this is to harvest healthy trees, or talk to your local arborist and get logs that are good. No less than 3 inches in diameter. They're just not worth it. And a minimum of like 1 foot or roughly like 3 feet. Technically, you could do it as long or as big as you want, but it's hard to carry, right? My back hurt when I was trying to do log work. It's difficult. It's heavy stuff. So 3 feet is really ideal. That's really good. And you want to be harvesting healthy logs, not one that died to rot or fungus, because guess what? Knock, knock. Oh, there's a fungus already living here. That's not really good. If you're working with healthy logs, you don't have to soak them. They're already full of water. Now, the reason why it's recommended to be harvesting in the fall, winter, or really, really early spring is like the latest you can do it. So like right now you could still do it, is because there's a lot of sapwood. So heartwood is basically the main trunk. The sapwood is where the tree is storing all the nutrients, preparing for spring to release all the new leaves and blossoms and yada, yada, yada. So the sapwood is full of nutrients and the fungi love this. Super, super yummy. I recommend using an angle grinder. There's a lot faster. You can use the Louisville toolbox to be able to use this effectively and you can just like be able to use it easily. 2 to 4 inches apart, just drill, 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 drill. Just make like a X shape. There's specific kind of drill bits you can use, or you can, if you're using dowels, like the little wooden bits, you can put it next to the bit, put a piece of tape to measure how deep you need to go, and then just use that. If you're using sawdust spawn, you can just kind of just drill it and pack it in there. I would really just recommend like an inch. It's really all you need, inch and a half, and you'll be good. Then you can cover it with wax, honey wax, whatever wax you want. And then the main thing is finding a good space for it. So what you're going to do is you can use a slice of bread, toss it into an area that you're thinking would be good. Let it sit, come back like in a day or two. Is there mold growing? Is it stale now? Stale is ideal, right? Because it's a dry area and there's nothing really growing there. That's super good. You can also do it on pallets. That's also completely fine. Um, and the main thing is keep it wet, not soaking all the time. Should only really soak it if there's been like 3 weeks of no rain. You can put a white tarp over it during the summertime so it doesn't boil in heat. Shiitakes are really sensitive to heat, so putting it in a more shady area is really good. And then you can use a black tarp for winter so it can stay warm. If you know a frost is coming, you can spray water on them to make them so that they're cold, so that freezes first, right? And then your logs are actually a bit more protected from the cold. Now, I can go into a lot more detail about shiitake growing and stuff like that, cold shocking. There's so many different stuff, but this is basically all you need to know. Get the right kind of wood, get hardwood. Oaks are always good. We have a ton of oaks here. Talk to your local arborist. They can get it for you. I recommend using sawdust spawn because it's cheap. You drill holes, you put the spawn in it, cover it with wax, and then you just leave it, make sure it's a little bit wet. If there's any weird thing growing on it, take a torch, just burn it a little bit and it'll be okay. You'll know when you can start doing cold shocking and stuff like that, when you're seeing that white stuff on the edges, on the sides of the logs, so on the sawed off parts, that's when you'll know, okay, my thing is doing really well and stuff like that. If you're dealing with contamination on the growing of the fungus, cut all of them back. All of the base primordia or all the baby stuff that is growing, you can cut them back. And the next flush will have higher chances of being protected from the contaminants and not having it because you just basically killed what it was growing on. Beds, straw, wood chips. Honestly, you don't need to sterilize this because it's already growing outdoors. When you're growing stuff outdoors, it's up to the elements and you're just going to be surviving, right? And there's a lot of hardy varieties. Wine caps are super good here. They grow fantastic. Um, and basically, you make a lasagna like that. You just layer. You do wood chips or straw, little bit of spawn, spray a little bit, wood chips, spawn, spray a little bit, wood chips, spawn, spray a little bit, wood chips. And then you just make sure that it remains wet, not drenched. You just need to make sure it's a little bit moist. And you basically just forget it. You can put it on your sidewalk pathways in your garden. You can grow it next to other plants like trees and stuff. You can just make an actual dedicated thing. It can be like these bigger barrels. You can do buckets as well. It's the exact same thing. For buckets, drill like 1/2 inch. You can even do like these smaller holes like this. Doesn't really matter. Make like 6 holes, make 3 drainage holes in the bottom really small. You're good. Just do the exact same thing. Lasagna, make sure they're okay. And when they start pinning on the buckets, you can spray it with water. Just make sure that they stay a bit moist. In growing tub. Okay, so indoor growing is you have more control, but that means it's all your fault. Things go wrong, right? This allows you to have more control of when things are growing, right? And This is a very effective way of getting to do it. You can do it very cheaply. You could do it more expensively. Bigger space, more expensive and more difficult to manage. If you're growing in a tub, it's effective, you can do it. Basically, what you're going to be doing is a tub, right? You can use polyfill, which is like this, similar to like cotton almost. It can serve as a filter. Just plug into these holes right here. This has a filter patch on it. I recommend you can spray paint half of the bottom so that you don't have mushrooms trying to grow, because they'll grow towards light, essentially. That's where they're sign of, oh, there's open space. Oh, I can grow this way. They're kind of stupid. They'll start growing like in all crazy directions. You want them to grow up, right? So you can spray paint half of the bottom and then fill it with the substrate. This, you want to use pasteurized substrate, right? The substrate that you've prepared, because these guys need as much of a fighting chance as they can. If you want, and then I recommend just spraying it time and time again. Make sure it's wet, not completely drenched, and then things will grow. You can upgrade to get a humidifier. You can then get a humidifier with a timer that's like humidity level controlled, where you're going to be wanting 80 to 90% relative humidity in there. You could even get a little fan. These are great. This will help you have more healthy grows, because mushrooms like us breathe out CO2. So they'll start to suffocate. Like shiitake have a big problem of suffocating and creating too much heat. That's why you want to spread them out a little bit. And when you're putting with the logs, you want them a bit separated from one another. And then these are grow bags, super effective if you're doing indoor grows and you have a bigger space. You can buy unicorn bags. North Spore has them, super good. Main thing is that when you're folding it, you see this filter patch here? That is where it breathes. You do not want the filter patch to come into contact with soil or the substrate, because that could lead to contaminants on it. So when you're folding it or moving it or working with it, make sure there's always like 2 inches gap from it touching the substrate. And if you're folding it, fold it over plastic, not your substrate. So how does subculture or collect samples from the wild, which is exactly what you said? I recommend go to your Asian market. There are food markets. They have all these fantastic mushrooms that you love to eat. They have great varieties and they have the best genetics, because Asia grows better mushrooms than us. Pretty much all organic US grown shiitakes are imported from China. They have 2 days in the US in bags on literal logs, and then they harvest them in the US. That is what happens. Okay. So that's the case of it. You can use these small jars, these small mason jars, to do the similar thing with the Petri dishes. You can buy these agar, which are like these little packs, basically like Jello. These are super cheap. You can buy them in bulk. There's different ways you can make agar. You can use molasses. You could boil 50 pounds of potatoes, right, to make potato dextrose agar, right? There's so many different ways. You can use coconut. Main thing is having a little bit of sugar, having the gelatinous aspect of it, which will make it easy for it to grow. There's tons of videos. There's tons of information online. I can give information to you after this talk. There's so much. There's so much there to help you out with it. If you're culturing from the wild, you can take a container, like a closed lid container, and bring a spray bottle of hydrogen peroxide, 3%. And what you do is, oh, I see the sample I want to take. You cut it, and when you spray it with hydrogen peroxide, and the moment you're going to be putting it into your container, you spray hydrogen peroxide like a little spray, and it basically disinfects the area and basically kills any microbes that are living on top of the tissue that you just collected, and you just put it in there. You then can subculture from it. Now, that's where I'm going to be giving a quick demonstration. These are king oyster mushrooms. These are right here. You can see they're very pretty. Got these from the grocery store, right? Now, if you're going to be working with this and you want to put it onto a plate, so you have the most sterile, non-contaminated resource, what you're going to do is that you can start from the cap and you're going to tear it, okay? So you guys can pass this around, and I'm going to hold on to this just to show here. So what this is what I just did is I tore it open. This tissue in the middle is the tissue that is the least likely to have contaminants. It has not been exposed to the outside world. It's just cells of the fungus, right? And you are just going to take, you can take a little heated knife, cut out a tiny little triangle of this middle tissue, and then put it into your mason jar agar, and it will grow. All right. So that you can use this for wild cultures. You can do this from a grocery store. If I did this with this right now, I would be able to get clones of exactly this kind of king oyster. It would be the exact same. It would taste great. It would have the same genetics, and it would be amazing. You can do this with any mushroom that you find. Some mushrooms don't really have a good tissue, which means you need to do spore prints, which is where you can use tinfoil, you can use charcoal paper, black paper, because depending on the spore color, that helps. And you allow the spores to fall in, and then you're going to be subculturing. Now, the problem with that, contaminants, right? Because that doesn't have that is more difficult to culture because you took it from the outside world, and the hydrogen peroxide can help, but you're going to be doing lots of trials of trying to make sure that it's not contaminated. And these are useful YouTube channels and companies I absolutely recommend and I vouch for. All right. So North Spore is both a YouTube channel and a website. That is if you want easy access to getting accessible materials for mushroom cultivation and also learning about more mushroom cultivation. I highly recommend that. They have very detailed guides. They have amazing resources. They have a fantastic team. Philly Golden Teacher is more DIY. He does not have a full background in like doing stuff professionally, but they have come out with very innovative methods of doing stuff, of making grain spawn out of microwavable rice packets, right? It's really incredible. He gives a very much, if you're broke, guide. It's very good. Grow Cycle talks a lot about indoor cultivation, talks a lot about outdoor cultivation. Very nice people. They have an online workbook that is it's like, man, I love your tism and your focus and passion for this. It is so detailed. It is beautiful. It works great. Fantastic people. They've been doing it for like over 20 years. Wonderful. Micro Symbiote, he's a super cool guy. He has a full Instagram account, and he is also um, uh, uh, a house scientist, right? So he's done a lot of fantastic culturings. He knows a lot about cordyceps. He knows a lot about truffles, all these different mushroom varieties. And he has also a lot of Baroque void techniques that are super good, especially when you're trying to do this for the first time. Root Lab, great guides, super cool, fantastic stuff. Atlanta Mushroom Festival, very cool talks about mushroom cultivation. And they'll talk about a lot of different stuff. Cool companies, Northspore for getting mushroom stuff and any mushroom cultivation stuff. Grow Cycle, that's the workbook. Ecovative is if you're trying to see cool technologies with building materials and stuff like that. Microworks, I think, is just a better company than Ecovative, and they do basically the same thing. And questions. Sorry for how overwhelming this is, but yeah. Any questions? Yeah.
Tell me on the difference between doing things from spores and tissue.
Yes.
You said if it doesn't have good tissue, well, how do I know? What does that mean? Why would I do one versus the other?
That is a great question. Do you have that turkey tail with you? Yeah. So these are this is turkey tail. This is a very medicinal one that you can be from the wild. You can also grow them on logs. They are really fantastic. You can't really eat them. They don't taste very good, but you can make them into teas and tinctures, and they're very, very good for you using a lot of different methods. Same with the reishi. Now the thing is that these guys don't really have good tissue because they are a very thin shelf-like fungus, and like with reishi, which is polypore, which is hard, more like wood, they don't really have it. But what they do have on the underside are these spores, and that's where getting a spore print is very useful, because you can then be cultivating from that instead of tissues. Now, if you're going to be working with gourmet varieties and stuff to actually eat, this will not be a big issue because you need to be able to eat it, so you could just take the tissue from that. Yeah.
So most of the times, but like, if I'm foraging, I'm good.
Yeah.
You're gonna wanna take a small sample of tissue from within the core like you showed.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is you can do this the spray method, right? So let's say you found chicken of the woods outside, right? You're going to cut your sample. You can get a big old piece, bring it home. You saw the sterile air box, or it's just you can literally just flip a container, have a hole, and just spray it with isopropyl alcohol. And then you're going to do the tissue method where you break it in half and take that little culture from the middle.
It doesn't matter from where on the
No,
body.
not really. I mean, like,
For the most there.
yeah, basically the area that is just like you are absolutely certain it has had zero contact with the outside world at all. Like it doesn't really matter. Typically in the middle, this is a very good area. And like you can do from up here as well. Doesn't really matter. It's pretty much the same thing. Any questions? Yeah.
What varieties do you think are the most like beginner friendly?
That is a great question. Okay, oyster mushrooms, they can literally grow on concrete. It is crazy. These things are so insane. I don't understand why they are so crazy. Do not grow yellow/golden oysters. They are incredibly invasive. A lot of people have just like bought grow kits of them and then like chucked them into the yard. The reason why they're invasive, because they have a really wide temperature range of what temperatures they're able to grow. So they just outcompete absolutely everything. Another thing, if you're working with oyster mushrooms, where it's specifically with indoor cultivation, wear a mask. They produce God knows how many spores. Like you'll leave and you'll be coated, right? And you can get mushroom lung. It is very dangerous. It's literally horrible because it's just coating the inside of your lungs because of these small little tiny spores. So be careful if you're doing indoor. Otherwise, they're completely fine. Harvesting, by the way, I feel like this is important to mention. If you're going to be harvesting mushrooms, this is a pretty ideal time to actually be harvesting them because if you look closely, you can see the cap, right? And it's still curved, right? That means that the spores haven't fully started actually releasing yet. When the cap is like frilled upwards, that means the spores are leaving and it's expelling it as much as possible, which decreases the nutritional value and also the taste of the mushroom. So you can also do that when you're foraging, seeing, oh, can't get that guy. I mean, you could, but like it's just not going to taste as good.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wine cap. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I completely forgot about your question. I'm sorry. Wine caps are super easy. They're fantastic for growing outside in yards. You can grow them on straw, manure, wood chips. They're fantastic. They're really nutritious. There's a lot of research about it being beneficial for other plants in your garden that you're growing in the soil. Yes. And they are wonderful. Lion's mane is a bit finicky. I will say that it is a bit temperature sensitive and also substrate sensitive. So I would really recommend just getting pretty much just oak. Like oak is really good with it. I even have an entire list of fungi here, the different funguses that you can like look through, and it goes into a lot more detail. It'll give you the scientific names, but it will still be helpful. Shiitake are also pretty good. We're in a pretty decent region to be growing it. They're very healthy. And because again, we have oak forests, baby. We have so many oaks. It's really beneficial. Funny thing about shiitake, when you're growing them, right, and you're noticing that they're doing super well and stuff like that, you want to cold shock them. So you put them in a big thing of water, you let it sit there for like 12 hours, no more than 15, right? And then you take them out and they'll start growing really well. That's something you know. Something you don't know, they like getting beaten. They like being abused. So what you do is that you take these logs after you're doing this cold shock and you put them down and you get a rubber mallet and you hit it as hard as you can. Yeah. So the reason for this is that shiitake are native to Japan, which has really serious monsoon seasons. And basically what you're simulating by hitting it with this large shock is a tree falling, which is the time where they're like, holy crap, I need a fruit as crazy as possible. You can even shock them with electricity. They're freaky, man. They're weird things. Only do the mallet thing once. The cold shock you can do multiple times. But really the mallet you can only do once and you'll get the most insane, like in 3-4 days, like mountains of them. Yeah, they're super crazy.
Wow.
Any questions online or any more questions here? Oh, yeah. Oh,
If there's none online, I have
No,
another.
go ahead. No, nothing online at this point.
When you say wear a mask, what type of mask would you recommend?
Uh,
'Cause I
you
assume
can-
just like cloth gator won't do it.
no. You want to be using like an N95 mask. I would recommend that. Anything that like basically allows for zero point 0.3 what's it called? It's like microspores. Like that's like your ideal amount for like you for even microspore tape. I also recommend using for like buckets and stuff like that. You can tape them up and making sure that the excess moisture doesn't leave. But yeah, just like M95 will be completely fine. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, foraging, yeah, on cultivation aspects, it's a bit difficult. There's a lot of ways you can wild cultivate forage mushrooms. That's where cabin sequestering is a great technology. This is a paper that came out in 2019. It is genuinely one of the most innovative sterilization subculturing techniques that has come out for mycology in the last 100 years. And it is the most Google Gaga technique possible for how unbelievably ridiculously effective it is. So basically what you do is you take one of those plates, you can buy cover slips online. They're very cheap. It's literally like a glass little circle or square. You take that and it's super contaminated and you got another one that's not contaminated and you want to transfer it to. You make a well, you make a circle here, you take the agar out and just remove it. You take the contaminated one, you make a smaller circle, you take it out and you put it in the middle. You then put a cover slip on it and you let it grow. And then in like 4 days, you come back, you subculture the mycelia that was able to grow through that, and then it's not contaminated. That's it. I'm not even joking. Like it's really ridiculous. Like there's a whole paper about it here, which is cabin sequestering. Go here. And it also has a dumb name of this paper, a handy method to remove. This is, where is it? Oh, come on, be nice. Here we go. So I'm going to explain this as simply as possible. So this is a PCR testing. This is testing for DNA samples. And basically what they did for each of these is that they tested different forms of bacteria and viruses on the culture, so different forms of contaminants. T1 is the cabin sequestering method. T2 is cabin sequestering with antibiotics. T3 is just antibiotics. And T4 is eyeballing. Let's just see what happens. We're going to try and grow it, right? If you notice, there's no bar in T1 and T2 for every single one of the samples. That bar, that's the little bar here, is the DNA of the contaminant. So what this means, by doing the goofy gaga cabin sequestering method with no antibiotics, has an incredible success rate of not having any contaminants. And it uses very low tech. It is very easy and accessible, and it works. It really, really works. They did so many tests with this. It is fantastic. And yeah, highly recommend. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go.
Yeah, sorry to dominate. I'm sorry, I missed the beginning. Did you talk about the mushroom growing chamber here on campus in urban and public affairs and the history of it, or the future plans? How can people get involved?
No. Yes, I actually did not talk about that, but I will talk about it now because that's a very good point. Because I was worried about not being able to cover all this information at the time. So I also have a space in the UPA building, Urban Public Affair building, where I have these two big old grow tents. It is a lot of really good equipment for doing indoor cultivation. Unfortunately, I have a really hard major and it really is really difficult and I'm working. So it was very hard to actually find time to do it. And I also went abroad. I was in Korea for 5 months, which was super cool. Learned a lot about mushrooms as well. So I didn't have time. Now with this semester, actually part of one of my entrepreneurship minor finals is that you have to do an entrepreneurship endeavor, which means quite literally for my final qualification for this class, I'm going to be doing some culturings and going to be growing mushrooms in these grow spaces. So if you want mushrooms, please let me know. I'm going to try and get them out to you. Like, for example, I did this huge revitalized experiment. These were cultures that were gifted to me by a friend that were 4 years old. Don't do that. It was 4 years old. Autumn knows about this. They were nasty. They look so gross. They were really, really bad. If you're going to be using plates, they have a shelf life around 3 months. Yeah, refrigerated. Please refrigerate them. And then what you want to be doing is then transferring them to another plate and then continuing the cycle, right? So please use them correctly. Don't do what our friend did, which is I left it in a box for a long time. But they did super, super well. This is one of the mama species. This is reishi. This is from Asia. This is not hemlock reishi from the US. Super medicinal, incredibly fantastic. And once I get these all cultured and stuff, if you guys want cultures, I can also help you give them to you. Again, I highly recommend North Spore really quickly.
Hey, Leo,
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you to pause just for a
Yes, of
second
course.
so we can say thank you all for joining the EcoReps meeting here for February 2026. We look forward to seeing you back next month, and we want to thank Leo for giving us so much great knowledge. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thanks for coming. See y'all next time.